What's up guys, today I'm bringing another upper body workout. This one is extremely unique yet difficult, so I hope you find inspiration from it, and let's begin. We're starting off with the arch nemesis Swiss bar bench press. Just got this bar today, and you know I had to max out immediately. Not only does it set the correct percentages for this workout, but also moving forward. Because I can't be in the dark, I need to know where my strength is at so I can auto-regulate accordingly. And because I'm used to maxing out a lot and my tennis strength is on point, I don't care that there's more range of motion. It's not like I haven't experienced this with weighted dips and deficit push-ups. So there's other ways to get this effect. But I'm happy that now I have access to a camber bar variation, especially one that's actually easier on the shoulders given the neutral grip. So it's insanely challenging, putting the standard Swiss to shame in terms of numbers used. But at the same time, it won't destroy your recovery. So talk about truly bang for your buck. Check this out. 355 is the lift that I hit. Man, you could see the lockout was intense, which is not necessarily due to having a strength weakness there. It's actually the bottom slowdown that makes you grind more in the mid to top. So even though the main benefit is maximally stretching the pecs in the position where most lifters are weakest at, it doesn't change the fact that the arm bend is also greater, and therefore it's a better hypertrophy exercise for the tris. This can be flat, incline, doesn't even matter. Whenever the arm is going below the torso, you know for a fact the tris are going to have to work harder. So great solution for those who are torso dominant. Now, here's the back offsets. I told you, when you go heavy, you can immediately establish the correct percentages. I didn't even have to slowly work my way into these. On the regular Swiss bar bench, I'll do 275 for reps. Now I know that with this variation, it's 30 pounds less. Great. I'm just going to keep rolling with that, and now I can use double progression as I please, or 3 waves, or whatever the heck I feel like doing. The numbers are 100% accurate. Now regarding form, I recommend being further away from the rack. Otherwise, the plates might hit it, since the bar is a little bit more narrow and the dimensions widen out in the center. So just a little pro tip, you don't want to be smashing the rack every single rep, which did happen to me a few times, including when I was going heavy. Next, we're continuing the push-pull template, doing the Ghetto Nemesis pull-down. Just showcasing that this bar is extremely versatile. It actually has a cable attachment, so you don't have to buy extra lap bars. This gives you neutral grips from 2 different positions. You can flip it upside down if you want, and you got super close all the way to wide. For here, I selected the medium grip just because I've been developing some really bad overuse from abusing the wide grip pull-ups along other variations of pull-downs. So narrowing it out makes it a little bit more lat biased. Of course, I am extending past the body, so I'm getting the traps and rear delts. Like, this is just a general strength developer, but I don't really care. I'm cool with that, and the overall sensation is incredible. You need a good general mass builder, this is gonna do it, and it's pretty challenging. So the first set, I did 4 plates, and the last 2, 4.5, which were a little bit more sloppy, but I don't mind because most pull downs don't have the best strength curve anyway. So if I can use a bit of momentum to get a better way to stretch, no problem. So I am going back to my roots a little bit, but not going crazy. Though if you don't like the way these reps look, then just drop the load by a good 20 pounds. Then it's gonna look super clean. Next, we have the Incline Nemesis press. It's funny because I just talked about this variation in my upper chest video, even though I didn't have the bar. But now that I do, I must admit, it feels infinitely better compared to normal Swiss bar. That tends to be harder to stabilize on inclines, and I've never been a fan of it. That's why I always gravitated towards just close grip on a straight bar, as well as dumbbells. But now, I have access to a bilateral press that lines up even better with the upper chest fibers, and it's coincidentally more difficult as well. So minus 20 pounds compared to my normal inclines. The angle is 30 degrees, and you may notice that I'm actually retracting my scapula here. On the first press, I didn't. Kind of loose there. Here, I do so because there's almost too much range of motion. Look at my elbows. They're basically pointing all the way down at an extreme angle, and you feel the stretch so much that if you're not retracting, it might actually exceed your active range of motion. Now, when you do this, it does take away a little bit from the upper chest bias, but I don't mind, since it's still gonna help my general strength and flat pressing performance. And the difficulty aspect is already something in itself. So you don't need perfection for every variation that you do. Whew. This heat is draining me, but this workout's not done yet. We keep going. Next, we're back to the pulls, doing some belt squat rows. I chose these over dumbbell rows for one simple reason. You get more range of motion. Because all we have is the D handle. There's no plates that end up hitting our body. But in terms of movement pattern, it's exactly the same. Now, if you guys don't have access to this, you can always do it in a cable station. Just make sure they're set correctly. There's nothing magical here. I'm just doing rows that are generally easier on the lower back. Now, I am standing up, so you're not taking out the spinal rectors completely, but it's nothing crazy like a heavy barbell row. This is only 135 per arm. Compare that to being in the 200s, and you can see why there's a massive difference. So dumbbell rows, cable rows, inverted rows, they're all great choices. And you can see I'm leaning my body forward on the bar while pressing the forearm a little bit into my chest. I feel this creates the most stable position and best movement pattern where everything is just lined up correctly. So I'm getting a good contraction. I don't need to pull any higher than this, and I'm using straps to not have grip be a limiting factor. And by this part of the workout, especially in this heat, you're kind of tired. So I'm not doing this for forearms, I'm trying to work my back. So I don't mind the extra assistance, and neither should you. Next, we have an old school superset, chest crusher plus expander. Just got this amazing device by Robert Baraban, link in the description box. And it's basically the Bronze Era way of demolishing the chest through squeeze-based motions. John Grimmick being the biggest proponent of this. Used to be called the York Chest Crusher, but those are no longer made since this was in the early 1900s. This came way before pec deck was even a thing, so old school as hell, but still effective to this day, and mostly used by strong men. The same goes for the expander. Instead of the reverse pec deck, which is the same motion here, you're using springs. So I love it. It's a great home gym option. If you're at the gym, you can use machines, but I'm not, and I actually like these exercises even more. So the chest crusher in particular, I'm using an overhand grip. This way I'm kind of hitting the mid pecs the most, and I don't have to lift as heavy. This is only 2 springs. I've done 3 for sets of 10 to 12, but that's when you flip it the other way. This variation is significantly harder. I mean, you can even do this with your arms out in front of you. So I'll save that for other workouts, but I'm really liking this chest crusher. I wonder how it's going to affect my carryover for presses since the arms are involved, and seeing how it affects my hypertrophy, because you're hitting the chest in the shortened position, which I don't really have a lot of experience with. I've always done lengthened based movements. So now I can do that instead of relying on cable crossovers and other motions like that. Plus, it gives you the ability to bend bars. But yeah, here's the chest expander. You may notice my springs are a little bit different. Change them out for some slightly thicker ones. So even though I'm doing 3, it kind of feels like 3.5 if I'm to compare it to anything. And it's a horizontal position, not the vertical. So by default, you're going to drop 1.
Yo, this is freaking unbearable. I can't do this anymore. 35 degrees with all the fans on.
Finally, we have double rope pushdowns and curls. This is supposed to be a superset, but it was so hot in this room and I genuinely felt like passing out that I didn't even have the balls to do back and forth, even though it's simple isolation work. But if you're doing this workout, just alternate. It's going to be a lot more efficient. So the dual rope, I've talked about this in a number of videos by now, but it's going to work your long head more. And personally, I don't do any single rope or V-bar pushdowns at this current time frame. Everything that I do is for the back of my arm. The lateral head gets worked enough through my presses. For me, it's the long head that's really lagging, especially when I was shredded. I basically had no gains there. My lateral head was practically the same size, which indicates this is why my arms were lagging for all these years. So they're finally coming along. And that's the combination of correct exercise selection and isolation work. Like, the details really matter a lot. So this is the last set. You can see when it gets heavy, you're gonna have to lean your body forward and kind of position yourself in like a skiing formation. So always get a full range of motion on these. The whole point is to get the shore in position. We're squeezing the triceps. You don't want to do half reps on this. Only when you flip it around and enter the overhead position can you refrain from locking out. And this is something I learned from Jeffrey Verity Schofield, who I take very seriously for arm training advice, considering he put on an inch in a year using some of these movements. So that's what it is. Can't even get 3 reps. That's when you know the long head is demolished. Here's the last set of curls. It's a high incline around 60 degrees, full range of motion, no bicep tears, as you can clearly see. And the dumbbell will actually hit the bench, so it's not like your arm is 100% straight. This automatically gives you that mini bend that's so crucial. So 45 pounds, basically the same weight that I've been using on my other variations. Gotta get stronger, work up to 50, but know that this is not the arm wrestling cheat form that I used to do years back. Sure, I might include a little bit of body sway, but there's zero swinging, and I prefer it to be that way. So very simple, stable mass builder. And that's all I got for you guys today. And that's the workout. Upper body in the heat, using new equipment. Hope you enjoy this one. Try it out. I'll see you in the next one.